This week on my obsession with Legos. I'm gonna keep this short. When I first saw this flyer on how to create 4 different ducks with the same exact bricks, I cannot stop thinking about these goofy ducks. And I want to draw them. So let's draw them. I knew I was going to draw them one day. One day I was gonna do it, and here we are. I will say there's a bit of a lie to this. One of these ducks actually had a leftover piece. The guy in the bottom left, the one with the eyes actually on the front of its head. It had a half piece, and I thought, do I make its neck extremely long? Do I give it a tail because it's the only duck without a tail? In the end, I just decided to leave it how it was, extra piece. So let's start off with our most normal looking duck, or at least the duck that I looked at and thought, yeah, that's a duck. This guy will be our control group duck, and the rest of the ducks are gonna look completely silly compared to this guy. So just looking at the structure of this Lego duck, the first thing I noticed is he's kind of flat and wide, a little bit longer than you would think a duck would be, and a little bit more squatty. But I also couldn't help but notice he had a weird extra bump on his forehead that the other ducks didn't have, and I just saw bangs. Some curly, goofy, feathered bangs on the top of this duck's head. Give him those big flat Lego feet and a little tail because, like I mentioned, one of these ducks does not have a tail. I know, shocking. This little guy looked fun. He looked fashionable. I just loved those curly bangs and I couldn't get over it. So I felt like when it came to the coloring of this duck, we were gonna need a little bit of extra pizzazz. So I also dyed the duck's tail red, dyed the bangs red, and this was our little artist, art school fashionista duck. So the red bangs and the red tail were cute, but I felt like this guy needed even more splashes of color. So I literally splashed some color on this guy. Maybe he just got done dyeing someone else's hair. And there you go. We have our most normal looking duck. We're gonna have it all. Okay, I'll admit it, none of these ducks are normal looking. Moving on to our long neck duck, which I guess could just be called a yellow swan, but these are ducks, not swans. So obviously we had to start this duck off looking a little bit more on the normal side because his feature was going to be his neck. And also his very tiny head. Look at the way his head just sort of ends at the top. That is so interesting. This guy also had no feet at the bottom of his Lego, and he had a double thick bill. So I felt like not only did this guy have a very long neck, but he had a very big pronounced bill. Mouth? Beak? I did, however, just feel weird not giving him feet at all, so I did go back and give this guy feet. But oh boy, to see this thing walking around in the wild would be so interesting. So with the neck being the focus of this guy, I really wanted to put a lot of focus on that neck, so I had it become very feathery, lots of extra feathers and textures on that neck. And I started to think about when it came to coloring, I definitely wanted that neck to be highlighted in some way. I got the yellow base down for our duck and then added a orange to red fade. If this duck was a real duck, it would be called, like, I don't know, the bleeding neck duck, because it has this sort of bleeding effect of the feathers on its neck. It would probably terrify you the first time you saw it, like, oh my god, that duck's neck is bleeding, and then you're like, oh my god, I've never seen a bleeding neck duck before. Oh my god, what is this video? Moving on. Okay, this is the duck that had the extra piece that I was either going to extend its neck up, but decided we already had a long neck, let's not do that, or I could give him a tail feather, but then I was like, well, he's the only duck that doesn't have a tail, so it kind of makes him unique. So in the end, I just left him designed the way he was designed. So looking at his features, he has this weird equal sized head to body shape proportion. It's kind of strange, and his eyes are just really far up on his head, almost like he's got this really long nose thing. So I was so focused on his head and his body being these two weird shapes making this 90-degree angle. And he also has these big thick legs, so I thought, okay, let's give him big thick feathery legs. And when it came time to inking, I thought, I really didn't add a lot of detail to his upper body. He just has very shaggy legs and not a whole lot going on at the top. So I thought to myself, well, let's just give the focus all to the legs and we're gonna make this duck bald and he's gonna have the fanciest legs. And oh my God, he looks like a potato with legs. It is horrifying. It's like this weird gelatinous human baby thing. I don't even know. I don't want to look at this duck anymore. Let's move on. Duck, we have yet another leggy guy, but this guy's kind of got a squat body, so I wanted to focus on him being scurrying duck. So I wanted to focus on this weird, lanky, long-legged, long-tailed, but short-necked duck creature combination. It seems like these ducks either have way too much neck or not enough neck, and this guy could definitely use some more neck. I imagine this duck just running around parks, just being an absolute hooligan. And when it came to getting into the water, it can't swim. Or at least maybe it tries to swim, but the legs are so long, it just makes it tip over. I don't know. It also has a really long tail. What does that do? Some sort of bobber? Maybe I shouldn't try to make sense of these absolute wacky ducks. I think at this point I was just trying to make sense of why this duck would have some sort of really long tail. So I also dyed it blue because we had a duck with red feathers. Let's give a duck some blue feathers. Also, I just really like a good yellow to green to blue gradient, so I couldn't resist. He kind of looks cool. Look at him. He's got this blue tail. I bet he runs, you know, I was gonna say he probably runs fast, but with those floppy feet, there's no way. Up some simple designs of Lego creations online and I found this basic flower and thought that could be a really good starting point for something like, I don't know, the 4 plant creatures or something. So like I mentioned, the original daisy sort of looking flower is a Lego design I just looked up online, and from there I created 4 original creations. I tried to get creative with these. I'm still feeling new to Lego, so let's just see what these turn into. Alright, so let's start off with our basic flower daisy thing. Just like the duck, this is going to be our control group creation, but drawing just a regular flower seemed boring, so I had to give it a little flair. I made the stem just a little bit curly, a little bit silly, and that was pretty basic enough. I didn't want to go too far away from the original Lego design because, you know, control group and all, but it was looking a little boring, so I gave our flower a little spirit friend. He's just hanging out. With all that sorted, it was time to ink. In the meantime, you might be thinking, this is a lot of yellow. I really liked having that orange to yellow gradient. And if I wanted to use a different color, say light blue, dark blue, or pink and red, I still needed the same amount of pieces, which I didn't have. And you know what? Yellow and orange look the best, so I stuck with our yellow and orange coloring. So when it came to coloring our flower, once again, it's just a flower. We've got yellow petals, orange center, green grass, but it was still looking boring. When in doubt, add blood. You guys know I always add blood if I find an image too boring. And you know what? What is the story with this flower? Did the flower do a murder? Was there a war nearby? Did a murder happen? I have so many questions now. This might just look like a normal flower in Lego form, but in drawing form, we can do whatever we want. So I made some legs, gave it a vine tail, and there's a rat coming out of a bell-shaped flower. Once I drew those legs, I thought they were sort of rodent looking. And next thing you know, I'm drawing a rat head coming out of the top of this flower. And at this point, I don't know if this is some weird decoy situation to get a different creature near the plant, or if it's just an actual rat that's sort of shaped like a flower, sort of like a mermaid, but instead of a fish, it's a flower. I'm still undecided, and the more I look at this creature, the more it freaks me out. And also, it seems like I just keep drawing things that freak me out. What am I doing? The tail obviously is something that I definitely conjured up with my artistic abilities because that was not in the Lego model. There was no tail, but I just felt like this creature needed a tail, and I really think it added to the design. design, especially to make it look more like a rat. And yeah, we're gonna continue on with adding blood. Did this creature eat something, or did blood just splatter on it? Is it a mouse? I still don't know, but I really enjoyed the drippy blood on this one. So there that thing is. Okay, enough of these boring flowers where the green is on the bottom, the flowers on the top. Let's flip it around. The flower is on the bottom and walks around with its petals, and the green stuff is at the top. So starting off designing whatever the heck this is, I gave this guy some thick, chunky feet and legs. This guy is a thick little guy. Though that being said, it's probably all just a big petal on the outside and completely empty on the inside, like a skirt, I guess. It's important you guys know the details of what makes up these weirdo creatures. Why? I lied, it's not important. Moving up, we have the stem of this creature with our leaf hands. I'm calling them anyway. And at the very tippy top, I use that flat square piece, which I guess is usually used for like a base. Instead, I use it as a poof of leaves for like its head or its hair or umbrella, or whatever the heck the anatomy is on this creature. I have no idea. I wanted to create a gradient from the yellow to the orange on the flower part of this guy, and you know what? I don't know what it is about it, but I really like these colors as a gradient together. They looked really cool. So I kept this guy's design really simple and flat with the colors, but you know we added blood splatters at the end. What's this guy up to? Is he giving a blood sacrifice to our little creature guy? Whatever he's doing, I choose to believe he's innocent because he just looks like a friendly, round little guy. For our final plant creature, I really wanted to challenge myself with this one, and I created what I can see as, or what I thought was, some sort of old man in a weird petal outfit and a hat, walking around like an old man. So I started off with the hat because it was the most obvious thing I could see in this character. And I knew I was really going to need my imagination for this one because, oh boy, did you see what I saw? Probably not. I got a general shape of a body down, and from there I just worked out some petals as if they were a cloak, just hanging from the hat part as if someone took a flower and just put it on the top of some tiny little creature. To be completely honest, when looking at the original Lego creation, I sort of saw more of a shirt and pants situation where you don't even see his legs. The orange in the Lego represents his head and maybe like a midriff. Maybe he's wearing a crop top. But when I imagined this creature as a drawn illustration, it just made more sense to create this flowing petal cloak all the way down this creature's body, and you can see its legs exposed. You know, we're just drawing its alternate outfit that you unlock at level 50. And I really like this guy. He's probably the most humanoid of all of these creatures so far. He's got some sort of mysterious story or sadness to him. His face is covered so you can't really see what he's feeling. His body language is just super sad. He's hunched over. And just wait until we add the blood, because that's really going to add to his story. Why is he sad? Did he watch one of his family members get murdered? Did he do a murder? What is going on? Why are all these plants covered in blood? I got to know their stories. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you would like early access to these videos, secret sketches, live streams, and more, check out the link to my Patreon in the description. Thank you guys so much for the support. And thank you guys so much for watching these weird creations. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.